Hello guys! In today's lesson, I'm going to explain to you how to install WordPress, especially for those of you who still don't know how to do that. Unfortunately, the information available on the internet is very vague. For example, the vast majority of tutorials don't explain to you the best practices for installing WordPress on both your local server and your web server. So in this lesson, I'm going to make a point of explaining what, in my opinion, are those best practices, things that I always do to install my WordPress in the best possible way. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is visit the WordPress website, which is on wordpress.org. So let's go ahead and click Download WordPress. And then click this nice blue button here and save the file onto my computer. Okay, this is WordPress 4.8.2. Maybe when you're doing this exercise of installing WordPress, you'll see another version, since WordPress is always releasing updates. No problem at all. Let's go ahead and open up Finder and look for the file we've just downloaded. Right-click, copy this file, and I want to paste it on my local web server folder. In my case, this folder is on my Documents folder, and it's called htdocs. Let's check if Apache and MySQL servers are running. Otherwise, it will be impossible to install WordPress, okay? To do that, I'll just open my XAMPP control panel, Manager OS X, head over to Manage Servers and start all servers at once. Now I want to unzip this file inside the folder that I'm going to create next. The name of that folder will be WP, okay? But of course, yours don't need to have the same name as mine. You can choose another one. Now we need to paste the zipped file here and unzip it right here. When it's finished, we will eventually come up with a folder called WordPress. But that's not what we want, okay? Since I don't want to install WordPress inside this folder. So what I'm going to do, jump into my WordPress folder, select everything, copy those files and move everything. Command Option V in the root of this WP folder. And of course, if you're using Windows, you have to cut and paste. Then I'm going to delete this WordPress folder here since I don't need it anymore as well, and it's now empty. So this is the default installation of WordPress, and these are the installation files. Once we have all the installation files ready, what I'm going to do now? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is something that WordPress will ask me straight away, a database. So I need to create a database for the WordPress installation to take place. That's very important, and it's actually the great advantage of having a WordPress site rather than just a simple HTML site. You have all the structure created by an entire community, a structure on which the WordPress team keeps working to ensure that it has all the security you need to build your website, your theme, your plugins, and you'll be using this platform that has been around for years. So let's go ahead and access our phpMyAdmin. Just type in localhost/phpMyAdmin. And the steps I'm going to explain can be used for both a local server and for a remote web server, since all of the steps will not be very different at all, unless for a couple of things. For example, you have another web address to access your remote web server, a different password, maybe the name of your server will change, it won't be localhost. That is, Maybe you will receive another server name from your hosting company, and of course your username and password will also be different. But for the default installation of a local server, the user is normally root and the password is empty. I'll just click on database and choose a name for my database here. And the name of it will be wp_learn_wp. Go ahead and click here to create it. And you'll notice that the new database is now showing here on this sidebar. And it's ready for me to use it. And now I want to open a new tab on my web browser, and I can write the following: localhost/wp, which is the folder located on the htdocs directory, remember, where all the files of the WordPress installations are. I hit enter, and it will open for me the home page of my WordPress installation. This is a welcome message. And before you continue on, we need to know in advance the value of the fields below. The name of the database we have already created, the username of that database, which in our case is root, the password, which is empty, the server name, which is localhost, and the table prefix. Unfortunately, this little detail of the database prefix is what many tutorials on the internet don't teach at all. We need to change this prefix when we install WordPress, okay? This is very important because it's not use having a website inside the WordPress platform, however secure it is, if you don't do your part. Don't you agree with me? Our first task then will be to change the prefix of the WordPress tables. So let's do it now. Go ahead and click Let's Go. We type in here the name of our database. As you know, the username of our database is root, the password is empty, and since we are using a local server, the name of the database server is localhost. If you are on a remote web server, check this information first with your hosting company. Generally, when you sign up for shared hosting services, this information is sent to your email. And now you're going to change the database prefix, which is very important in terms of security, as I told you. But you might be asking, why it's so important? Well, because by default, WordPress comes with the prefix WP. But everyone knows that. Even the bad guys, even hackers know that. So if you keep the prefix as WP, you'll certainly lend a hand to site invaders. So let's change it here. Now it's not WP anymore. Let's call it, for example, WP CRS, which is far better than just WP. You can choose, of course, whatever prefix you want. It doesn't have to be the same as mine. OK. Click Submit. Click Install. Now let's move for the final steps of the installation process. I'll go ahead and type in the name of our website. It will be, let me think, just Learn WP, I think I do. Here in username, I recommend that you don't use names such as admin, WP, test, or some other weaker options. You can choose, for example, your name, a stronger name, one that you remember easily, okay? For example, I'll choose my name. But again, you can use whatever name you want. For the password, I recommend that you accept this password here, or choose a very strong password, especially in the case that you're installing WordPress on a remote web server, for security reasons, of course. In my case, as I am in a local server, I will just type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to make things easier. Even because it will be just a local installation. But what is important is that when you work in a production environment inside a remote server, you always change the admin password. Don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? This is only to make my work easier during this course. As I've chosen a very weak password, WordPress will ask me to confirm the use of a weak password. Here's for my email. And I can click here to prevent search engines from indexing this site because I'm just creating the site yet. So I don't want search engines like Google to index that site, at least not now. And finally, I will install WordPress here and we should be good to go. And here we are, WordPress is just installed. If I click here, login, enter my username and my password, I will jump into the WordPress dashboard. By default, you see that if I head over to Appearance Themes, WordPress comes with some native themes installed. The name of them are always related to the year the theme was created. So for example, 2016, 2017. So that's what I had to explain to you in this lesson. I see you in the next lesson. Until then, and happy coding!